You're listening to Polymatic.media, episode 125 for May 2025. Welcome to the Polymaticast. Hey, John. How's it going?
Pretty good. I'm just pestering Alan a little bit.
Yeah, I was moving around the Google document, just, drawing my attention away.
It's like,
Hence,
how
a
can I
blooper.
make Alan misspeak?
Yeah. It's weird. I used to do this with OG. I would read that closing. I'd read the paper, but like at some point it got so raggedy, and then I printed a new one out, and I'm like, look, I did this almost 1,000 times. Like I can do this off the top of my head. Maybe not 1,000 times. It was probably like 500 or 600 in, and then I just always winged it off the top of my head. Ever since, and yeah. I also never read the paper in full because I was winging it. So it's just creature of habit. I know
Also,
what I'm
it's
going to say.
very hard for people to modify it on a piece of paper.
Yeah. Like you doing in the middle of me reading.
Typing in weird words and stuff.
Yeah. Which always makes me stop. Like, I'm not going to read that. And you keep it in anyways, which is good.
Welcome to the PotatoCast.
Yeah, to the PotatoCast. Yeah,
We should call this one the episode the PotatoCast.
Yeah, you should. You should absolutely. Yeah. So what's been going on? What's been hot for you?
I've been trying to find why my glucose is so high, even though I'm taking medication. And yeah, I figured something out with regards to the. It's not high per se. It's like it's higher than I think it should be.
Right.
The way I feel and, what I measure with other devices, it makes no sense. So
You're talking about the Libre or whatever.
Yeah.
That
So
the sensor.
I've been having weird things where it would feel like either like the measurements that at first were pretty good. They started to be off, and I check with my fingers, and on the fingers would be good, and on the device it would be either too high or too low.
Right.
I'm like, what's going on? Like, is it detached or something, or is this something else that's going on? But no. So I figured something out, and that's kind of interesting, is that when you take a hot shower, it suddenly thinks your glucose is very high. So that's interesting. So there seems to be some sort of temperature sensor in that thing, and it's trying to find whatever, it's probably like calibrated to specific temperatures to be, when you get these measurements at these temperatures, you get around this-ish. And also one of the things that I noticed is that I try to keep that thing out of the water. So if I go and shower, I like try to not have it be get wet. So maybe that was a bad idea, because when I have a normal temperature shower, not the my back hurts. I need to use a hot shower. It seems to be closer to what I think it is, and then when I check with my with one of the prick my finger thingies, it is pretty spot on. So maybe I should be taking showers, just not caring about that thing, and yeah. So debugging those kinds of things is interesting. I think that should be a warning, because I think people, at least it should be like on the packaging, like or like an introduction or something, that if that the humidity could impact the thing, or or the temperature could impact what they measure. So I wonder what happens if I jump into like a very cold lake. Like, would that impact it the other way? Would that make it go down? So I don't know. If I'm outside, does that make the thing go down? I don't know. So that's really weird. And if anybody knows anything about this stuff and would like to talk, I'm very interested. Also, I would like to I have so many ideas about this thing being much better. I have so many, like, if you flip the sensor part and the replaceable part and the sensor, there's other companies that make similar things. The sensor pads are placed on it with like a little device, and the actual compute part that sends the messages and reads from the sensor is something you charge and replace and don't replace. So you keep that thing, which is, you know, for something that costs like 60 to 70 euros for every 2 weeks. I think we can do that. Yeah,
Better
yeah. You're throwing away batteries and you're throwing away chips
and
and
cheaper.
whatever.
Yeah.
It's so wasteful. Like, and there's like gold and stuff on that thing, so not a lot, but you know.
I think they're really just trying to make it fashionable versus functional.
But the other ones look fine too. And they're
Hmm.
much better at like the
So if they're much
recyclable
better,
issues.
then what's their price point for you? Do they have replaceable or rechargeable batteries? Um,
Well, the little units that go on top of it, they are rechargeable.
right. Okay.
But these are not. These are just a thing you jam onto your shoulder, and you know.
Yeah, I got that. But the competitors, right? Why don't you look at a better competitor instead of this one?
I think the reason why many people like this one is because they have like a good application and that kind of stuff. So it's not as privacy nightmare as the other ones. Not
Got it.
as. There probably is some concepts in that, but like if these guys were to flip it, like where they, you know, do a similar thing that the other guys are doing, I think it would be a good. Of course, they won't make as much money, but like it's so wasteful. The chips, the like, and of course these chips maybe cost like half a cent to produce, but like there's a Bluetooth thing in there. There's a, I don't know, maybe it even run Doom. It needs like a little display on it. Yeah. Yeah, it's like 60, $70 every month, every 2 weeks. That's pretty expensive.
It is expensive.
Yep, and I've been
Um,
buying them myself because I would like to know where I am. But if the sensor, you know, does these kinds of weird things, can I trust what it's saying, right? So it's kind of funny also because, like, sometimes I look at it and I see like a little spike and then it goes down really quickly. That might have been like a miss sensor thing or whatever. So I don't know. I'm curious about it. Um, I don't have type 2 diabetes, so I'm good. I can do, I don't have type 1, I have type 2.
right.
So I don't have I need to make sure that my glucose is correct.
Hmm.
But if I were to have type 1 diabetes and have to rely on this to get the sensor thing, that would be a problem.
Yeah, I knew someone as a kid who was type one. Um, this was a long time ago. So I what I heard is by the time that I found out that I had type two, the technology and the treatments had evolved in such a manner that it was much simpler for us as type 2 people, in more current day compared to, the my friend, when I was in, I don't know, elementary school, I guess. Um, so it's been, a significant improvement over, in current day. But so a quick little aside. So I, did more conventions where we were running sort of AMV video, rooms. We called it the VAT, video art track. And I remember we had a couple volunteers, or not they weren't like, they wanted to join the sort of AMV crew to help run this room. It was only 1 year. They didn't come back. And this was a young couple. and one of the girls was sitting next to me. I remember, to the right of me, and she was type 1, and she mentioned it a couple times. And I don't know that I was diabetic at the time, but there was a moment where I just sort of was observing her eating habits, which were bad. And she was, she was on insulin. And so she was kind of abusing it. She would eat really bad, and then she'd jack herself up. And I remember sitting next to her, and she was looking at, she checked her number, and she was drooling over this Snickers bar. Just completely drooling over, like, she was literally doing that. It wasn't like an act. She wasn't like emulating a character from anime. She was like, like, and her number was good. And so, she went to town on this thing. And I was just like, what is going on here? And, she basically had plenty right to have a prescription for insulin, and she took advantage of it.
Well, it's like, because your it's not insulin resistance, right? It's, you just don't
Right.
make any insulin. So trying to regulate that, sometimes you need to correct, and like something like a Snickers would like give like pretty
But
fast results.
I literally saw her number. I was looking at her little, the tester, and she was great. She had no need for the Snickers bar. So my point is, I'm glad I don't have that problem. I'm glad it's not a life problem, and I can kind of manage
like
it.
that wasn't like the time when there was like these type of devices, right?
What do you mean? No,
She
this
didn't
was
have like a sensor.
no. No, that stuff existed.
Yeah, but like she probably didn't have one, right?
She had something on her, yeah, but she also did a direct little test, like the little glucose meters that you and I use to
Maybe she
prick
was
our
feeling
fingers.
off and she needed something.
Nope, that she was just, this is the way of her life, and so she didn't eat in a way where she was managing it, despite whether it was type 2 or type 1. She wasn't managing herself well, and she was taking advantage of it. But it was just interesting to me that she was, this was her behavior. So I'm glad I'm not type 1 either. I can, I know my senses, right, on these things. So
I have gotten, since I got this thing, I've gotten so much more better at estimating, at like knowing, oh wait, it's like getting to like noon, and then I know, oh wait, my body starts to prepare for food. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So even
pattern
though my
and
brain
consistency.
knows, I know it.
Pattern.
I didn't realize it was noon yet.
Yeah. So let me ask this question: when you have to get a shot or blood drawn or something like that, and they do it on, say, your side of your arm where some muscles are, so you go and if they go 1, 2, 3, like, are you the person that was like, no, don't count down, just do it? Or are you the person who's like, no, I need to count down?
What do you mean, a shot? Like
yeah, like a shot, or getting blood drawn, where they're going to prick you and they're going to, do a butterfly, and they're going to take blood out because they need to do a yearly thing or something like that.
Well, they don't do that. They don't do the counting.
When you
down
get
thing
your
here.
A1C, do they pull some blood?
Yeah. But they don't.
Okay.
They don't do countdowns.
Okay, got it. So I've had it in places where they do a countdown. They're going to say, okay, brace yourself, right? Okay. So where I was going with this, and I learned this when I needed to get a shot at some point in my life in my leg, where there's definitely a lot more muscles. When they count down for me, my body sort of braces and it tenses, and then it stings more and it lingers more when I get that blood drawn or I get a shot.
This is exactly why I hate those fucking stabbing my finger with those things. I hate them so much because I know it's not going to hurt much, but it's going to hurt, and I hate it so much.
So what I did is I always tell whoever when they have to get that lab work, surprise me. They go, no, don't count down on nothing. I'm just going to meditate for half a second, and you're going to do your thing, and we'll be good. And at that point, it stings for like a brief moment, and it doesn't linger. And so my point is that yeah, psychologically we are bracing ourselves, and then things hurt more, and you got to get past that, right? You got to get over that. You got to surprise yourself,
Yeah, but
and not let yourself, anticipate, right? And that's why sometimes our numbers go up and down, because our body is anticipating based on a pattern. So, anyhow, we went off on a way long tangent.
one of the things that I found with this with the sensor is that if I were to look and go onto the app for like a local food delivery thing,
Yeah,
look at the food, my glucose goes up.
that's interesting.
That's
Okay, so
super interesting.
I don't have a real time thing, so I don't have that kind of.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. It seems to be like whenever I do this, it's like, and I know I haven't eaten like the last like 7-8 hours, and then if I go to that website, I do bing, little spike, and then it takes like half an hour, and then I'm back to normal.
mhm.
And then the food comes in, and then I go eat, and then half
So
an hour after that starts going up again.
So a detail for those not informed on the subject of this is that your liver will produce glucose,
Yeah. That's
right?
basically
And
it.
that's really meant to be in what do they call it? Flight.
No. It's also for like when you are asleep and you
Yeah.
it gets to the morning and your body starts
Right.
releasing the hormones. It says, "Hey, wake up!" And then
Yeah.
your liver goes,
And
"Hey, let's produce some glucose."
yeah, and I think part of my problem is that I have my liver is still doing that with a system that is not absorbing, everything well.
Mm.
So if there are days where I don't eat a lot, I will see a high number. And if I do eat a lot, then I have a high number. And so I'm in this situation where I can't win. So my sort of shift last year, especially when I was searching for a job, is I started to, well, now I have ample time to actually cook. So I'm going to force myself out of my bad habit of not cooking and just start cooking more. Because I was coming with hard realizations as I'm living in the house that, like, yeah, I had this like unrealistic expectation my roommate would take some responsibilities for things, and he never did. And I just found myself being responsible for myself, being responsible for him, and then being responsible for all of the chaos and headaches and mess that he would make. And then I got here, moved in, finally living on my living alone for the longest time, and basically what I was dawning on me a lot more is, if I want that done, I got to take care of it. Same thing at work. I was sort of, one of the guys in charge. If I want it done, I can't rely on anyone else. I got to go take care of it. And it just kept coming back in the front of my brain more and more and more often that, like, oh, well, that's broken. I can't call a landlord. I have to go fix it myself. Right. And that just kept coming and coming and coming. And then last year, when I was like, all right, well, I want some bread. Let's figure out how to make it. Right. Because I had the ample amount of time to mess with it. And that's where sourdough came from. I always knew I wanted to make it, but now I was like in a position where anything that would keep me stopping from doing it from before wasn't present. So I just and I had this thought the other day. I was shopping yesterday, and I was like, oh, I should pick up some bread. Oh, nope. I can go make it. Right? And that's exactly what I did last night. So the larger tangent of this is that I started to make things, and I was like, well, I have all the ingredients to make butter. Why don't I just make the butter? Right? And so I started doing those things, and I found that because it's sort of filled with very simple ingredients, same thing with the bread, I'm not getting those carb spikes. I'm not getting those things that normally are just like, I'm tired. I'm going to go buy some bread.
Well,
right?
like restaurant food, like, they
Right.
make it very tasty, right?
They make
So
it very tasty.
You have stuff delivered. It's usually like it contains the things that you really want.
Yeah. but it's tasty. So I mean, the real rule is doesn't matter whether it's fatty, if it's salty, or if it's sweet. If it tastes too good, it's bad for you.
Mm.
That being said, I make my own stuff, a lot of stuff now. Not everything, but I make a lot of my own stuff now, and it's tasty. And like I made apple cinnamon sourdough, and all that's in it is apple, cinnamon, and the bread, which is just flour and water and a little bit of salt. Like there's nothing complicated about it, and it tastes so amazing, right? So I found for me that like kind of shifting how I eat things kind of has also helped sort of my, my glucose. So it'll be good to see. I'm seeing my doctor in next week, and it will be good to see where my lab work is at.
I like the fact that the application gives you like an estimated A1C. It's like it's not going to be close, right? It's not going to be like perfect.
It's not going to be accurate.
It's giving you like a good indication.
So the A1C you get from lab work is based on based on testing of 3 to 6 months.
Yes.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
This is more of like hey, this is probably where you are. This is more of like an estimate based on,
Yeah, and it's a good indicator, and that's
it has your glucose for the last 50 weeks, 50 days. Sorry. Yeah. So it can give you an estimate, right? So it's not going to be perfect, but
it's a good guiding path.
Yeah.
It will always be.
But if the sensor is off, right? So if it's off because it doesn't measure the same thing, because either you're not drinking enough water because you're a dumbass like me, or you take a hot shower and don't realize that that's what is happening, like or you're trying to keep it covered during showers so you don't there's no problems with it. Yeah. So then there's a measurement difference, right? And I've noticed that in the mornings I've been having like, oh yeah, but like according to this thing I'm at 8. I shouldn't be at 8 in the morning. Why is this, right? So I can see where it started in the morning. I'm like, okay, that's weird. And then I go take a shower and I don't cover it up, and then suddenly it is normal again. I'm like, okay. And then when I look it back, I don't see the spike in the measurements. So like I don't know what's going on there. So overall it's pretty close. When I do the normal shower thing and I don't cover it up, then it's fine. But yeah, hot spikes in like heat definitely has an impact on the measurement you're getting from that thing. So I don't know if it's also measuring my body temperature. That would be interesting to know. But yeah, I don't know.
Well, I mean, do you have an Apple Watch?
Yes.
Okay, so you can get some metrics from that.
Yeah, but it doesn't have body temperature.
Oh, it doesn't?
No, it doesn't.
I mean, does it take surface temperature from your...
it doesn't take any temperature.
Really? Interesting. You would think that would be something that they were doing. I mean, how do they know...
They're working on a... I heard they were working on a glucose meter.
Yeah, I think I heard that too. I don't know if I heard it from you, but I heard that. As much as I want to... I'm not a part of the iOS ecosystem by any degree, so Apple Watch doesn't appeal to me. And sadly, all the Android devices are just as sort of ecosystem conscripted or... monthly service conscription, subscription, like you get sucked into that. And so I'm just sort of, as much as it appeals...
Apple Watch, many years away from non-invasive glucose monitoring.
Right. So the larger point for me was that, like, as much as technologically it appeals to me, I don't know. I don't really want to deal with Samsung's Tizen, closed OS or whatever. I just don't want to. I'm not into it right now. I've
Hmm.
never been into it. And I've been sort of watch free for a long time, which has been good for me because I don't find myself checking the time as often.
I have to say, out of the devices, I think I use my iPhone. I have two phones. Okay, of course,
Right.
that's a luxury position, but like I have an iPhone, I have an Android phone, I have a first party device from both sides. So I have a Pixel, I think Pixel 8, I think. Yeah, a Pixel 8 Pro, and then a just a iPhone 15, normal iPhone 15.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I love the iPhone more. The audio feels better. There's less weirdness. Like the UI for Android on the Pixel has been. Oy, there's some big problems on the Android side.
Hmm.
All they want you to use the gestures. Fuck off with your gestures. Give me some fucking
I,
buttons.
well, you
So
can turn that off, but
I
I got
know,
used to
but
the
then when you
gestures.
turn it off, the UI goes weird.
Huh.
So
So,
if you put the bottom buttons, like the old Android buttons,
oh, right.
come
Yeah.
back,
Okay. Got it.
then
Yeah.
everything at the top becomes compressed. So when you like, there's certain like one of the a bank app like has a go back button in the top because it's also there on the iPhone, which is bonkers. But when you click on it, um, you cannot press it because it's too small. And this is a big phone. This is a big phone, and I cannot press that button. So I have to close out of the app and have to reopen it to get back. Oh, Android. Yeah, there's lots of problems with Android at the moment. I don't. Out of the two, I use the iPhone more, also for like shooting videos and whatever. It just the quality seems better, less AI crap on top of it. I think like the Pixel used to like take okay pictures, pretty good pictures, but in the last since the last updates, it's been
Hmm. On my
it
six and the
seems like
previous phones,
bad.
pictures have been pretty good. Now I have the lower quality sensors, right? So the uh, sort of the pixels are going to be kind of bigger. There will be a moment where I will have to forcibly have to move up to latest. Um, but for now,
I can
I'm
send you
getting by.
my
Hmm?
8 Pro. I can send you mine.
No, no, it's
Might
okay.
get tariffed though.
If I'm gonna do it, I'm going to do it, as whatever the latest is. So I think we're at 9. I think 10's coming, or maybe no. Yeah, this is still early in the year, so 10 is obviously likely coming. Um, this has been working for me fine. It's a little weird with battery. Sometimes I have to restart it. The battery service isn't sort of monitoring. I've had these moments where I thought I put it on the wireless and it should be charging, and it hadn't been charging, and nothing to do with me putting that sort of MagSafe ring on the back. It isn't bothered by that at all. So lately I just sort of actually just plug it in. I have a couple, USB Cs coming up side of my nightstand. So it's been fine for me, and pictures are still pretty good on this. And I know it will benefit from higher quality actual optics and sensors when I move up. Um, so for me, it's been sufficient. Yes, the gesture stuff's kind of a little annoying. Like, so if I want horizontal on a YouTube video and I want to back out of that thing, it sort of like it takes a couple like gesture backouts to get it to finally click out of its full screen. It's a little frustrating, but I'm just used to it.
The
It's
YouTube app on the
Yeah, it does
iPhone is
that.
also pretty bad.
But I also don't really watch the YouTube app that much. Most of the stuff I'm doing is like in TikTok or, looking through stuff on Instagram. I'm really only in Instagram mostly because I'm chatting with a couple people. Um,
I have the YouTube app on my iPad, and it's like perfect for that.
is it okay?
Yep.
Yeah. So, and that's the only thing that I guess it is a disadvantage is Android tablet stuff really just didn't. No one really took ownership of it. Samsung took ownership of it, but their devices are almost as expensive as a cheap laptop. So I mean, at that point, the benefit is go get yourself a laptop that does 2-in-1. It's going to be a much smoother experience than trying to force it into a $900. Oh, they do have really nice ones where they're like $1,300, Android tablets, but like the experience is clearly so much smoother on an iPad. But I just I don't have any Apple devices, and it would be like if I bought an iPad Mini, it would be the only Apple device I own, which doesn't work enough for me. You know what I mean? I'm not bought into the ecosystem.
I had two Samsung devices. I had the S2 and I had the 7 Edge, and I hate them. I had
the Notes, and the Notes were great up until the moment that like
the Samsung
the pattern
sauce on top of it. I hate it so much.
That was the part I also disliked. I always disliked that side of it.
This is why the pixels are pretty good. I like the stock.
I do. Yeah,
Android thing.
Stock experience. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you get updates frequently. Yep. And there is less security things. And oh, by the way, this is already like 3-4 versions away from current stock stuff. And I'm still getting most of the feature functionality that's like in the new devices that require the AI chipsets. So, and maybe that's the one thing I don't have is I don't have this infused AI chipset that getting in the way of all the stuff. So if that's what's going on in the newer stuff, I'm unaware of it. So. All right,
I just don't think that the cameras on the Pixel are all that great. Yeah. Also, I don't like the what Jordi LaForge visor thing that's on this thing.
Yeah, I think in the 9 they've improved that again.
There were pictures of the iPhone with something like this, because the iPhone have like a little island on the back now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, look, I don't like the look of it. I liked it when it was not that, but everyone's got these ugly bumps.
Yep. Why don't we just make the phones a little bit thicker? Right? We can put more battery in it.
No, they have to be 3 pieces of paper thin. You could crack them in half.
Like,
yeah, it's terrible.
This is the Pixel. Well, I can't show anybody at home, but like there's a little cover I have for it, and they have the Pixel, which makes it a thicker phone, because everybody needs to put a bumper on it, because otherwise the moment it falls on the floor or
it's so
everything needs to be made out of freaking glass.
It feels so foreign and slippery to me when I take it out of the case. I don't know how to. I can't. It's too slippery for me. I need something, right? So I always get. I've been getting stuff from Later Case. That's what I like. There's another brand, Spigen.
Spigen, yeah.
Spigen, I liked as a case.
I think I have this. I think this one is from there. This one. And I have a D brand skin on my iPhone, but like even now, I just almost dropped it. Like, and this bumper on top of it has saved it so many times.
The otter case or the
this is a Apple.
No, you were holding up a clear one a moment ago.
Yeah, that's from Apple.
Oh, okay. I will say though, I do like the Later Case. They're thin, and I definitely have dropped my phone a bunch of times, not intentionally, obviously, and not being reckless. It just happens. Anyhow, we can get off on a long tangent. I don't know where we were.
Phone cases, right?
Yeah, we're on phone cases where we're talking about diabetic stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So I've been messing with that and trying to hack myself back to 100% health.
Yeah.
I've also been rebuilding a bicycle, so I've been collecting parts because I have a bicycle that is almost 20 years old,
Mm-hmm.
a mountain bike. And yeah, so I've been getting all the parts. And yesterday, so Saturday, the 3rd of May, I took everything apart and put it back together. I replaced everything except for the wheels and the frame. Everything else was replaced. That was a lot of work. I spent like 6-7 hours working on that
Yeah.
yesterday.
I mean, you replaced all the wearable parts.
Well, the wheels can also wear, but I had
Yeah.
replaced the wheels before, so
Right.
you know.
It's an advantage.
So the
This is a
chain, the gears, everything.
this is an industry that wants it to be modular, and that's a good thing.
Yeah. So I had replaced the front derailleur before, so the gear shifter on the front, but you have like two combo brakes and gear shifters on the front, and the one on the left was broken, which is also the one on the front that changes your gear thing on the front. So I had replaced the derailleur, but I couldn't shift because it was just broken. So I had to replace both the shifter and the actual derailleur. And yeah, it was quite a bit of money, but you know, the stuff I bought is from Shimano. That's pretty good brand for like
Mm-hmm.
these kind of stuff. There's like two different brands that make these things. Shimano is one of them. So.
I thought about getting into, bikes. I don't know, when I was probably in my 20s. But, I just couldn't afford sort of a quality bike, right? So it was Trek. I think Net Trek is in the U.S. is called Performance. I don't know if it's still there, but there was a performance bike store where you can literally go there and you get all the stuff you need. But I don't live and exist in an environment part of the country where it's very bikeable around here. It's bikeable if you're going to go bike on a trail, right? But it's not bikeable if I want to go to the supermarket or if I want to go to work. I definitely know at least one guy who's an extremist about this. And I had a conversation about something. It's like, oh yeah, the club does this thing, in Boyertown, and from like, even with me by car, that's easily an hour drive, and not very connected to the city. And the guy lives in the city. He's like, oh, it would only take me like 10 hours. I could totally bike there. Right. I'm not that person. I will never be that person. So, and also we don't have an environment that is very bikeable. So compared to the Netherlands,
the Netherlands are like the bike capital of the world, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, I would probably get into it way more, but I live in a very sort of walkable town. I can walk there. I guess you could bike there, but it's kind of most of it is kind of not as bad as San Francisco, but hilly. Like San Francisco. We don't have any squiggly roads to get down the road, but on a bike, it would be incredibly challenging.
I wouldn't be going on a bike in San Francisco.
Yeah, but people do it.
The chance that your bike gets stolen is also pretty big.
Oh, that too, yeah.
Yeah. But my bike had been looking like it'd been sitting out in the rain for like years, and like I cleaned it up and it looks so good now. Well, it looks better. Of course, like the paint is like 20 years old, so I would have to like maybe do a like sandblast it to get all the paint off and repaint it or something like that. But I think the better option would be to buy a new bike. But yeah, this bike is kind of like if I have had it for like 19 years. In 19 years. Yeah, I bought it when I started working where I work now. So like I've worked for this company for 19 years. So
yeah,
that's when I bought the thing, because I was like, oh, I'm changing jobs to go get a new bike. So, yep. Yeah, it's been, I tried it out yesterday evening, and I went to my dad because his birthday is next month. But he needs a new PC. So, because the Windows 11 thing, because he's still on the Windows 10. And
Oh, got it.
what basically we did, we collabed together and got him all the parts for the new PC, so he doesn't, buy a laptop or something, because
Right.
he wanted to get a laptop. I was like, yeah, but that's gonna cost like 600-700 euros, maybe even more for like an okay laptop. It's gonna come with like so much garbage on top of it.
Yeah.
While all he does is sit in his room, just uses
He doesn't need a
Windows
laptop.
on his PC. Like
Yeah.
that's what he uses the computer for, just to look up stuff and whatever. Right? He's not a gamer. He's not anything.
Does he need to scan things or print things?
Yeah, that's what he does, and that's
Okay.
what it's
Would
okay
would
for.
something like an iPad with like a folio attached
No.
or something be better?
No. He needs to just do it there, and that's it. And
Okay.
and he had a older AMD, so 2200G, I think, was the CPU.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very old.
Yeah.
So we got him a 3400G
Okay.
because
So
his
something simple.
motherboard supports that. So I could have gotten him like a 5700G, which would have been like double the price of that, but there were some notes about it not being supported.
So I'm always careful, especially with parents, about technology. My father's haphazard anyways. He will go through and destroy the OS out of just anger and just doesn't, like he's the guy who goes into the OS and deletes all the,
Delete the
Microsoft
System32?
Edge DLLs and stuff, not knowing it's incredibly integrated as a general web engine for a lot of other things. And he'll just go in and just hack and destroy things without like just create havoc because he doesn't want to be tracked or whatever it is, just sort of radical about it. Where my mother doesn't understand anything, not at all. And she clicks and keeps clicking. And every time I'm with her, I go in and I clear out and uninstall a whole bunch of stuff on her phone. And then somehow it's back. And she called me up. I don't want to go on a tangent, but she called me up and she's like, all my photos on my phone are up on Facebook. Why are they on my Facebook? Mom, why'd you install the Facebook app? I didn't finish that. I uninstalled all that stuff. Why is it back? I don't know.
Sure.
Yeah, and she just click. So I hesitated for a long time getting her a phone, but then there's just getting a point where she's getting old enough where I need to have her to have a phone that she can get back to me, especially if she has an emergency thing. Like, I need to be able to have sort of some way in those circumstances. But then what does it do is it opens up a million times of other problems and enablement and her not knowing anything and then her calling me about something simple. And then I tell her and we get past that after 3 hours of this. And then 2 weeks later, it's the same thing again. So it just enables a whole different slew of different problems for me with technology with my parents.
My parents are pretty well trained to not do that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah. No. My parents don't care. They don't listen to their kids, but they do when they need you.
Well, then they don't listen, right?
And then they still don't listen. I will tell you one minor thing that is sort of funny and frustration with my mother specifically. I remember years ago, she had a PC and she just needed to open up Word because she needed to like fill out, resume or something. And so she's sitting right next to me and she pulls out a legal pad and in cursive, she has the worst cursive, so do I, but she has even worse. And she's sitting there and then she just needed to, I was like, all right, where do I find Word? I put a shortcut on your desktop for you. Yes, but if I lose that or delete that, where do I find it? Okay, you hit the start menu, you go up to programs, you go up to Word and click. Right? That was the instruction. He's like, oh, hold on. I got to write that down. So 45 minutes goes by. We're still at programs. And she's writing that. And she just looks at me. She goes, I'm not going to remember any of this. And I just, out of frustration, I was just like, then why are you writing it down? And she's slow about all of it. And like, oh, and I can't read my handwriting. She's not being funny. She's just being irritating. This is not how my family works. They're just irritating. And I'm like, Mom, let me teach you how to understand things so that you can have the tools to know how to do things on your own.
But that's like for people who are older, that's not going to work.
No,
like if you don't have this like drilled into you, being able to like think critically and being able to like understand the problem and solve the problem. If everything has always been solved for you, you'll never do this.
Right. And so this is one of those things that like Chat GPT is a perfect thing for my mother, but my mother will never understand how to write the prompt and ask the question. She don't even know how to do it in searches. I mean, it's much simpler there too. So like,
yeah, there's probably going to be some people that get advice from that thing and then get themselves killed and then they get sued.
Right.
But ChatGPT told me to. People don't. People just assume that the thing is just a
accurate.
computer, right? It's just a thing, and it's lying so much. And like the whole thing with like the vibe coders. Have you heard of those?
No.
It's like, we're vibe coding something. Like basically you just throw a prompt at something and then it generates some code for you and that's your product. So I vibe coded a thing and then it turns out that they have to fine tune it and redo the prompts over and over and over again until they get something that they want. And then it is not maintainable.
No. And then the other bit of this is, look, you and I both know that there are plenty of people who have these software development positions and or titles, and they heavily rely on Chat GPT to generate stuff. But before that, they were just going into Stack Exchange and just Googling about till they get to a Stack Exchange post that's like 10 years old, and they literally just copy and paste some code. And when I have to go code review, it's very clear to me where that came from, right?
Yeah, but
so
if it is something from Stack Exchange,
it was made by a human, but it doesn't mean it's accurate despite the upvotes.
But like you have to put it into something and you have to know how it fits into something to be able to adapt it, right? But so there's at least some thought about how it goes together. But you have something like Cursor. I think like Cursor even had like a little exploit thing recently.
That's a AI generating.
Yeah. So it just
right, exactly.
And they just assume that that's correct, right? And then there's like points where people, but your code base, your backend API keys are in your front end. There
used to be in a large company, you'd have one or two leads, period. And nowadays, someone like me who is in this lead position, there is more and more of us humans standing in front of these code reviews because of the quality of work that's coming from, farther down the hierarchy where they don't fully understand the context of it, but they do have that college degree.
Yeah, but the thing is, when you then do the review and then you realize, something like this is happening, and then you go with feedback and they don't understand because they have to throw it into fucking Chat GPT to understand what the question is, what the response is.
And
right?
that is what...
I've seen people, let's just make it less obvious who I'm talking about. So I've had cases where people have written something and they, air quotes, written something, and they come to me and say, hey, why doesn't this work? And then I go and look at it, and then it turns out that they are trying to reach an API, like a back-end API, through the front end, because they don't understand the difference between a front end and a back end.
Back end, yeah.
They're just, it's just an API I can call from the client. Like, how is this secure? you're passing an API key which allows you to do this, this, and this, and this, right? Security stuff. And you're just giving that to the front end. Like, and there's people who are generating these types of things, putting it live, and then people put their information into it, and we have a data breach. That thing, those types of vibe coding things are going to be a gold mine for scammers. They're going to allow you, they're going to allow scammers to generate a website that looks pretty legit, and then it turns out it's insecure as can be.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
One of the things
they're going to abuse it as much as possible, because as soon as something goes live, because somebody up high said, "Oh, but I need it now," and then one person decides, "Oh, well, I'm just going to vibe code it," and then it goes live, and they're going to be, "Oh, it's so great," and then turns out, wait, yeah, nobody can maintain it. It is broken as fuck. It is insecure, and no. Man.
So not to stay too far on the tangent, surprisingly, I'm the one trying to moderate it down. But the larger point is, and this is just sort of a thing, way back when there was a little less stuff in these frameworks, you're always being pushed on you, like whoever the framework, they've solved it in the new version, but you're not in a position or allowed to update because there's so much fear of mistakes that have happened before you showed up. Or they just sort of weren't ever, the team was never allowed to maintain and upgrade, actively because of those fear and mistakes that they made in the past that have hurt business. So, I always ended up getting put in a position where I had to reinvent the very thing that would be available to me if I updated the network. And so, especially when there were less sort of full functionality available in frameworks, you had more primitive stuff. I had to learn how to figure out how to do stuff. And then even if I didn't have that scenario, I would take it as an aside on my own to go figure out, how would I do that? So that I could understand how things work and how they were built. And then over the years, when you build a lot of stuff and you do a lot of stuff, and then the company depends on what you built, and then you're in this position explaining and teaching and, being sort of a lead a lot, an active lead, not one just by title and like being management, but like one who is hands-on. I found myself sort of understanding how things work, and especially with being in architecture, early version of architecture, when there wasn't just every turnkey cloud solution. You end up building stuff. You know how it works. And so, been at places where they start explaining a problem and how this is, and I go, "Oh, I understand." And they go, "What do you mean?" I said, No. I can understand exactly what that SQL query looks like, and I understand why they're having these performance issues. And if it's in one database, that's one problem. And if they have it in extra database connections or DB links, I can totally understand that. And if you get that opportunity to see that, I'm always right. Because once you know how to do things, you know how to build things, you know how to do it from the primitives. It's kind of like baking. Once you understand what the ingredients are and how they come together and how the chemistry of them work, you can almost foresee what the issues are and how to solve them because you've been there before. You've done that. And you didn't just use a feature that was in a framework. That's already, all the hard work has already been done for you.
Yeah, but it also allows you to a lot of people, they rely too much on a framework to,
and that's what I was going with this.
But they don't really know
understand
how an HTTP request works, right? Yeah. So they have no clue. So, and they're like, "Oh yeah, so I'm doing a database query and I'm using this ORM, and it performs like crap." And then I go in and I'm like, "Okay, so why does it perform like crap?" "Yeah, well, I don't know, but it just does." Okay, but we can't release this in this way.
And that's sort of how we behave in this world. I built my own ORM before there were too many of them.
Me too. I've done that before.
I've been in a situation where EF or Entity Framework for Microsoft didn't work well with other databases. It could, but it didn't. It wasn't as performant. And I was in this situation where I wanted to use an ORM, and the ones that we use sort of now today that are standard just didn't exist then, or was very in beta format. So I created my own mapper, which was the core of me creating my own, I was using the existing framework for database connectivity. But because I had created all these sort of compartmentalized, classes and namespace and library utilities, when I was challenged that we had to do something for Oracle and Oracle didn't have one, I used my mapper. It was very easy for me to spend a little time, write some code, and boom, it was there. There it was. And then we had this weird thing from a Unix-based system that was like a combination of Cold Fusion and a database of its own, and so they were using this in Unix in the 90s, right? And they still had it in the 2000s to 2010s. And I was like, oh, we gotta move this thing, but we still need to rely on this database. And so someone did the hard thing where they wrote a library that brought that into my ecosystem I needed, but it didn't have a mapper. So I created another instance. You could plug in the version of it and then through my mapper, and then boom, I had an ORM for it. And so that was my sort of level up on that. But because I had to go through the hard effort of figuring out how to build a mapper, I could correct inefficiencies on through the mechanisms. And one of the my boss had wrote his own sort of shortcut version of that he was forcing us to use, but I had already built a lot of these systems using mine. And one of the guys that worked for me one day was like, yeah, our boss is telling us to use this, and it's so slow. And I said, just switch to mine. He's like, no, I was told not to use yours. I said, just switch to mine. And so he's like, oh, just try it. And he's like, oh, that was like 10 milliseconds. I go, uh-huh. And he goes, well, it's like, I could explain it to you, but let's just move on. Just use mine, and I'll defend the argument. You know what I mean? And it's just because what he had built was sort of, he didn't have a chat GPT as a shortcut, but the point was that like he didn't fully understand the underpinnings because he hadn't had to have that challenge to know how to do that. And so when mine is 100 milliseconds and his is 4 seconds, and oh, by the way, mine was strongly typed and his was not, that's a significant, I could have the conversation about, data types.
Okay.
Right?
So I just want to, before we go off on more stuff like
not.
this, there's one thing I want to say. I think within the year, we're going to have our first vibe coder,
breaches?
a full-on big company breach.
You think we haven't had that already with just
people?
No,
definitely. Yeah. But the new trend of vibe coding, that thing that's going to, yeah.
I have a TikTok friend who she's only 22 and she's doing things, but she's not fully job employed, and she's taking tests and stuff, and she's going for analytics, and she depends on Chat GPT to understand all this noise.
Oh no.
She's not coding, but my point is, and the only reason that she was going live and she was trying to understand SQL stuff, and she was just doing her homework and trying to understand this thing, and she also apparently lives really close to me. So somehow we just became friends on one of her mods when she goes live. And so I was like, look, you want to learn this stuff? You could literally just come over, hang out. I will teach you how to how this stuff is, how to properly do that. Is it, if you're going to rely on ChatGPT to give you all this stuff and look at websites for tutorials, you're not going to get very far. It's I will spend time with you, just teach you this stuff if that's what you want, so. You can't take the humans out of this is the larger point. Okay. Yeah. Tangents aside.
The Wally floaty chair people at some point, right?
Yeah.
That's where we're going to be.
We're probably about 80 minutes into rants.
So it started with like me rebuilding a bike, but then we went into a little bit of a
Well, it's
tangent.
also started with you hacking your diabetes.
Hmm. So I've been looking into like doing some stuff with like doing some streams,
Yeah.
doing some crafts, and I've been looking at I've been using NDI
Hmm.
to stream from my iPhone
Yeah.
to OBS, and then from OBS out to the stream to the internet. That's been working pretty good, although the audio quality is not as good as I would like it to be. So I'm looking at maybe getting and of course, because there's a delay between the NDI stream and my microphone, if I were to
Hmm.
use a microphone attached to the stream PC, it would be delayed. So, it doesn't
Right.
really work as well. So I would like the audio to go through the phone itself onto the, yeah.
So the other part of this is your phone is going over Wi-Fi, which does have latency compared to a hard line. So NDI equipment is really designed, or initially was designed for broadcast equipment inside studios,
Hmm.
where everything is hardlined.
Yeah, but
Um,
if I were to have like it's always going to have a sort of a delay, right?
yeah.
For that. Um, and that doesn't matter if the audio and video stream goes together, right? So if it goes
Right.
as one, it will be correct at the end. So I've been looking at wireless lavs, different brands and that kind of stuff. I
Hmm.
was looking at the DJI. DJI has some,
Yeah, you were talking about that.
and he was even looking at like maybe getting one of those TRS connectors for the iPhone,
Hmm.
or like a USB-C to headphone jack
Right. So you could
adapter for the
record,
iPhone and just plug in
just
some
do a
headphones.
wired one. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I've been looking at that. Not. I'm thinking of getting the Rode Wireless ME. They're
Hmm.
very very small. That seems fine to me. Um, that's my front runner at the moment. But
Yeah. I need this sort of out of the point of the documentary. I started with the ones that were just transmitting, and it was all sort of out to a TRS jack that would find its way into, a recorder. And then they came out with another version where they started recording locally, because a lot of wedding photography stuff where they give, the bride and the groom and people, wireless lav packs that record locally, so that if they're out of range, at the very least they can rely on a nice quality recording that's local to the device.
and then the
Um,
photographer can blackmail the groom afterwards after they
yeah,
hear about the song they made with the the
yeah.
bridesmaid.
And then eventually I evolved past those versions from Rode to the latest. It might not be the latest, but probably more recent, as of like last year, was the wireless pros. They didn't call it Go. They're basically Go threes. But they're with all these professional competitor tooling that like it came about when Rode started doing these sort of miniature things, and then a whole lot of other competitors came out and improved on it significantly. And then this is their evolved version. But the point of this is, when I started to go TikTok live last year, I don't even know if I heard about this year. I think I heard about it this year. But I knew that I could plug the receiver for the lav packs directly into my computer. Never tried it. And also into my phone. And TikTok picks up that device, that USB audio device. And so now I can use my lavs, or really in my case, just lav, to send audio directly to my phone. And I can go around and cook and do whatever, and the audio is not disrupted. It's not like you hear me in the distance. You hear me as loud as you hear me today. It's a little, you can hear a little syncing, like, where the phone is not as, over that USB or something, is not as premium to kind of sync up. So you'll hear little hiccups, but little glitchy things. Like, to me, they're really minor, but I hear them. But it's been great. So that's what I've been doing, and I assume the Me is going to do that for you as well. So Yeah.
Also got one of those. I got that thing that you recommended, the
newer
newer thingy. Yeah. So
camera
there's like
mount.
a little strap around you, and there's like a little thing,
Yeah,
and you
thing that
put your
holds.
phone on it. It works
Yeah,
really well.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's well
It's
built.
very
I
well
just
built.
for a
It's
generic brand, they really have come into their zone. They make so many weird things, but when they make them, they're just about like spot on for a value price. I saw they came out with a new light. I saw like someone I'm following on TikTok, and she was super excited to get one of their studio lights. I didn't even looked it up yet. I have enough studio lights. If I'm going to do anything, I'm going to continue my path on these Amaran aperture lights, because they came out with some new ones that are affordable. Uh, Point being is that like they're hitting all the areas now. And it's really good. And so one day I was like, I gotta find a way to do this cooking thing where it's like my point of view and not just me with a tripod moving around everywhere. And this is when I started to find those MagSafe adapters,
hmm
photo adapters, and I have one sort of mounted in my kitchen in the corner of my counter, and I keep the one tripod thing that I could use as desktop, or as a stand, goes up to about 5 feet, and it's put one of those little magnetic adapter things on the end of it, and I just snap my phone to it, and as long as I even got a third one that I have USB-C power running to it. So, I could just, at that point, I just snap around, and I haven't been using this physical mount. But I bought it for that purpose, to be able to, like, you could see me, working the dough, stuff like that.
I'm looking into like if there's like if I wanted there to be like a MagSafe thing where you can I need one of those battery backpacks for my iPhone, like those and then put one of the MagSafe rings on the other side of it, so I can then plug that into the into the mount.
They do. They have those. They don't have them necessarily in photographic mount, but they do have those.
Oh, this is not a photographic mount. This is a MagSafe.
Right. You can get MagSafe, with the power and stuff. I mean, all it is just a Q wireless thing on the other end of it.
Mm-hmm.
If you put that in the right place,
Yeah.
you could still charge.
But I can stick one of the I got with the mount. I got some of those stick on MagSafe things.
Yeah. They're just those metal rings.
Yep.
I have a bunch of these. I bought enough of these adapter that I get one, but I have one on my case, so they're all spare. And then
So
I bought
with
like
this
a
one, it comes
5-pack.
with two. So you have one too, I think, right?
Yeah, so I bought a bunch of these. Yeah, I mean, it's on the back of my phone right now. It's on
you
the
have
back of my case.
You have the same newer thing, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it comes with, I think, one of its own as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it comes with two.
Yeah, what I did at this point is I bought like a 5-pack when I realized it could start doing that. And then I bought more of those photographic adapters that are the MagSafe magnetic ring side of it, no power. And I bought a bunch of those, and those come with a couple. And then like the newer comes with a couple, and I literally just put them in a little container. I have like more than a dozen of them at this point, which is great.
MagSafe all the things.
Right. In this case, I really only use it with one device, which is my phone, and it's got one on it.
So I had on my iPhone, I used to have a MagSafe. I used to have a MagSafe wallet. So you could put a wallet on top of this.
Yeah, I got one of those.
I was like, at some point, it didn't fit everything I needed. So I switched back to the original wallet I had, which is also like a just cards. It's like a thing of cards.
Yeah. So you have yours is a little more refined. Mine, I have like an old wallet, leather one that like just jammed everything into it, which includes cash and stuff like that.
This is it's called Secret.
Okay.
It's like a little card thing you can put the cards in.
Yeah, so I bought one. I bought a Ridge wallet long time ago. I just couldn't get used to it. I didn't like it because I
like it because it also like prevents
RF scanning or
RF
whatever.
scanning, yeah, or NFC,
whatever it is. So I just couldn't. I just couldn't let go of my wallet. So I have it. I haven't done anything with it. I bought it years ago. I just stuck it in a drawer. And then most recently, I bought one that was, a little thing on the bottom, and it will pop out. All the cards lift up. Um, it. I think I filled it. I filled it with all the main crucial things. Right. I don't necessarily need my health insurance card in there. I probably could put it in there. But it's got the credit cards. It has, it has my license and all that stuff, and it has MagSafe thing on the end of it. And so occasionally I'll snap it to my phone, but most of the time I'm not. My phone is its own wallet through the particular app. So aside from a driver's license or whatever it is, so I have sort of two wallets. I have sort of an old classic one that has some extra stuff in it, and then I have this metal one, that I got recently. So it also has a GPS tracker in it, which is nice.
Does it still work?
Does the tracker still work?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm upstairs, so maybe I'll turn it on. We'll find out. Yeah, it still works. It has pretty good battery life on it, but like I just got it, so I have not pushed it through its paces yet.
Anyway, you going to go through the links?
Yeah, I could do that.
Gone through quite a bit of distractions and tangents, more tangents than we thought we had. I think
it's not only me this week.
Hey.
All right, so you have a bunch up front, and then I have a few on the back side.
Yep.
So when we go through that.
So I saw a fun little thing for people who like RGB stuff. If you want to have a M.2 and use it as like a little LED display, you can do that. Polymatic.link/1i9. More RGB possibilities, as I said it.
A neat idea. I don't know what the use case is for me. I
think it was just an exploration of what you can use a PCI Express lane for, I guess.
It was interesting.
And there's a new game called Clair Obscure Expedition 33. This is some music from that game, Polymatic.link/1IA. It is pretty, it looks like a very good game, looks very nice. Some people are calling it Game of the Year already. It's made by 30-something people who used to work at Ubisoft, and they made a game like that's finished and looks great and without years of delay and whatever. So and
needing the Ubisoft game launcher.
No, they don't. It's like
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, not this walled garden game launcher. Yeah,
and it's I would like to play it. However, I do not like turn-based games mechanics, so I really hate that stuff. That's the reason why I don't like those puzzle games and that kind of stuff. I'm more like on the train of Horizon Zero Dawn and that kind of stuff. More action-oriented video games. And then I play Stardew. And Noita is like a roguelike that's it's punishing. It's actually punishing.
Yeah, I don't like games like that.
It's it's pretty fun. So that was Polymatic.link/1IA for that one. Did you know you can do mail and a BBS on Meshtastic? Polymatic.link/1IB for that one. PewDiePie installed Linux on his machines. That was an interesting video. Polymatic.link/1IC. I've already been like looking at getting a framework laptop for a while now, and I've been I'm
not there yet because I don't have the funds for it. I would have done it already, but yeah, I need something, and maybe framework is a thing.
But then I would like get the DIY kit and just install Linux on it and stuff. So anyway, so I have a number of laptops in the house with like Linux on it. The older laptops that I use for like the laser cutter and that kind of stuff.
I mean, gaming is not really my thing. So, but Linux doesn't have all the things I want, right? As a default OS, it's just not enough yet.
Did you watch the video?
I did.
Okay. It's
but his needs are different than mine. His needs are different than mine.
Yeah. Of course.
And that's what my point was, that it just doesn't have everything that I need. that I use on a daily, especially my creative tool sets and stuff like that. It just doesn't have it.
Okay, so that was Polymatic.link/1IC for that one.
Yeah. Okay, so this is to TikTok. This is a guy that he's just sort of funny. He is more reactionary to videos that are posted out there. This one's kind of funny. His most recent ones have been a little like hit and miss. But when I started following him, there was like just endless amount of just kind of funny behavior on it. So anyhow, Big Daddy Leo, I enjoy watching his posts when they come up. Polymatic.link/1ID. That'll take you over to TikTok. Everything else is not TikTok. I don't believe. I don't believe. So these two are sort of in sequence, are sort of related to each other. So I've been watching the sort of Patreon founder, his sort of side channel called Digital Spaghetti, where he has a small team of people that sort of explore other creators with them, sometimes about them. So Max Joseph is a director, sort of creates things. He's done some stuff with, Casey Neistat. That's how I sort of know the connection of this guy. He's a pretty good editor. Anyhow, so he goes through and explains a documentary he was asked to help edit about this guy, John Baldessari. And he goes and he talks about all the particular things if you're interested. Polymatic.link/1IE. And then if you want to see the documentary that he is talking about, which is also pretty good and entertaining in Max Joseph's style of editing, Polymatic.link/1IF. And so that's John Baldessari. Okay, Master of Disguise. I, for life of me, can't remember what this was. But it's trying to remember. I watched that last night too.
It's a YouTube short. It's a YouTube short.
Oh, right, got it. Thank you. This is Eska Ninja is back. They're making new stuff. This goes to a short, but they're making full normal YouTube size things. So Master of Disguise. This is talking about ninjas, right? Polymatic.link/1IH for those who are old enough, you might know who Ask a Ninja is without Googling it.
I don't know.
Huh?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No.
I have definitely shared the one about where he did about podcasting was in low quality resolution and stuff like that. So everything's in new modern resolution stuff. So Ask a Ninja, kind of funny. So for those who remember, there you go. And then Quinn92, he has a new song out, new video. I really like Quinn92. I listen to his stuff pretty frequently. He finds his way into my playlists, and I don't completely tire of his music, which is a good quality. I don't listen on the same song on repeat, but to the point is if it comes up, I don't immediately just skip it. So polymatic.link/1IG.
Kind of gave me like Bon Iver vibes.
Yeah, I never got into Bon Iver. Just, I don't know why. Just never did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I have another link that I didn't put in until this morning because it wasn't there in my list. What Delete Me and Incogni aren't telling you. Polymatic.link/1II. This is about those. This company made data brokers delete all my data. Blah blah blah. That kind of stuff. So Polymatic.link/1II. It's very interesting. It's like, I don't know. It's not. It's like a little animated figure doing the talking, but like the stuff
the information
in it is interesting.
Okay. Yeah, I'll check that out. Yeah, I always think that I need to get a Delete Me or Incogni for my parents.
Don't.
Right, but like I don't know that it's solving anything more. You know how it is with
it won't
parents
solve you.
where they're
It'll
like,
just cost you money, and then you'll have
they're
more.
Just like, no, I need to have my Norton. I need to have my Cafe. I need to spend $400 a year. And I was like, we're well past this. You don't need it anymore. It's fear mongering. That's how these systems work.
This is the same thing with the VPN providers. They're like, oh yeah, but your data is protected from hackers.
No,
no, it's not.
No. And Yeah, it's fear mongering. My father, it's the same conversation again and again. I think I finally got him off it, but he bought some cheap antivirus thing or something.
Oh no.
And he's like, well, it tells me that, like, all these things on my local house network. Or I was like, no, that's called ICMP. And the way these things work, Dad, is they're fear mongering. They're telling you truthful things, but they're putting red and yellow coloring on it. And they phrase it in such a way that it reinforces your fear that you need to keep paying for their software. He's like, no. The Microsoft Defender is perfectly fine. It comes with your OS.
My dad, I was reinstalling, well, not reinstalling, I was upgrading his machine to Windows 11. And because we were doing the upgrade for the machine. And he was like, yeah, but I saw, this is like a couple of days before that, before yesterday. He was like, I saw a McAfee thing in the bottom right. I'm like, what? Why do you have McAfee?
Uninstall that.
I'm like, what the hell? No. Like, and then after like questioning him, it came back. Oh no, it was Java was requesting an update. I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know why you need Java, but
Right, exactly. So the point of this is, like, in the 2000s, Norton, McAfee, Avast, whatever, Avast or whatever it's
Avast,
all of we're all we're actually useful and needed. But then everyone else caught up, right? And you don't need to spend $400 a month on that. In fact, it just gets in the way.
Yep.
And
which is kind of funny because like lots of companies are now requiring those kinds of tools on the machines, even though the virus scanning stuff that Apple and Microsoft are doing is actually
sufficient,
better than the and a lot of those tools like AVG and whatever, they had full on like ports open for for stuff, and like, okay,
and
that's
you don't
dumb.
need the personal firewalls, the default firewalls that are built into the OS. It's good. They made the point, and the operating systems got on board and built something that, if you just, especially in the Microsoft ecosystem, you're a big company, you just have to have admins who know how to do the group policies correctly. That's it. That's all you need. You don't need any extraneous stuff. But the web browser, it's not. It's you have to train people not to be stupid, and the software isn't helping you, and you're just wasting money on a service and a solution for companies that aren't any smarter about it than the default software is. Yeah, they have teams of people that are actively doing this stuff, but like, yeah, it cultivated a.
And then you have CloudStrike.
Yeah. Oh yeah. A whole different problem.
But it's related.
Right. So I mean, it's just
okay.
It's too much. We have to be a more informed society and less stupid at the levels that count. And that's it. That's all you have to do. That's what we used to do. But
Don't be dumb.
But now we live in a world of why be intelligent when ChatGPT can guide me? Once you start posting that stuff back in the system, is going to make ChatGPT dumber.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's enough.
Alan, where can ChatGPT find you?
On TikTok.
Well, Polymatic.link/Alan for that one. For me, you can reach me at Polymatic.link/John. For feedback, you can go to podcast@polymatic.media. And our website is polymatic.media, where you can find all our links too. And I hope you tune in next time.